of this computer. Okay, well, hi, ladies. Thank you for joining, all four of us. People get used to it. People will get used to it. Change is challenging for some. Oopsie, now I'm making a mistake. Let me just actually go ahead and send this reminder as well. I shouldn't have started recording, but that's okay. If you're already on and you're watching the recording, fast forward. Okay, well, I was really excited and kind of nervous to do this call because it's been a while. So I really took it really serious, and it happened to be that Cynthia Moreno and I got together, and we had this amazing conversation. And I know there's no accidents, and she shared some stuff with me. So I'm going to start off by asking a question, and that's kind of how I like to do trainings. I like to make them interactive and ask questions throughout. So if you can, if you're not sitting on the toilet, if you're not sitting on the can and you can show yourself, then please do have your camera on. If you can't, I totally understand, and just put it in the chat. But we named this Do You Believe? And the reason for that is, as actually us three were talking, Carmen, Maite, and I, we were discussing or as we were going back and forth in our text, like, we're going to discuss belief. What is that? Belief in yourself, believe in the company. And I feel like they can kind of go hand in hand. Hi, Evelyn. They can go hand in hand, but I feel like one overpowers one more than the other at various times. So I'm going to make this somewhat general, and then I'm going to hone it in. So I'm first going to do a very typical thing is, what is the definition of belief? Well, Google's definition is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. And I thought that was really, really, I have a detox fast, and that's okay. We accept that. I thought that was really simple and powerful. And then the second is trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. And how simple is that? I think we kind of make this word mean more. I think a lot of times we associate it with maybe religion or faith-based, right? And it's so much more than that. And so as I'm sitting here and I'm trying to write my notes, which I know I never sent to you because I kind of just like, I got to get to the computer and I just got to feel it. I'm all about the feelings. I thought, wow, what are some of the times that we had to have belief in ourselves, first of all? Well, we didn't know it, but we had to have belief in ourselves to take our first steps. For those of you who have kids, right? You look beautiful, Cynthia. For those of us that have kids, we now get to be on the other end watching them take their first steps. So we were there breathing that belief into them, right? You could do it, just one at a time. Our first day of school, right? Learning to swim, going to high school, going to junior high, that was a big thing. Going to college, finishing college, our first job, a major relationship or marriage, having kids, career changes, moving to a different home or city. As I look back at times that I had to have belief in either what I was doing or myself, those are the main things that I think most of us all go through. And sometimes, many times, right? As I'm moving into my fourth house. And sometimes we go through them many, 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 many times. And we don't have to have these discussions about belief as much because it's something that we choose to believe in. And society says those are the right things to believe in, right? That's okay. So I have my first question for you. And I'd love for you to be able to unmute if possible. How do you prepare, or how did you prepare for any one of these things that you feel successful at? Anything, a job, parenting, anything.
I'll go.
Okay.
I look like Timmy Trufia, so I'm not even going to put my camera on. I think childbirth. Man, we had to have a lot of belief in ourselves in order to get those babies out. So, and I think that like really was empowering for me. And I know that for most women, like if you can do that, you got to remember you can do a lot. So
that's
anyway,
right. Isn't that crazy? No, that's a great one. Is how terrifying was it when you're waiting to have this baby, right? We just want him or her to be born, and we want everybody to be safe and healthy and happy. And we had no idea what we were going to go through in the process. So that's a good one. And you were like, I can either go through this worse by not believing that I can do this, or I can say, you know what? And I know your story, Evelyn, with the difference between your both pregnancies. So it took major belief, like I can do this. Anybody else want to share? No?
I think I I try to prepare like for an interview. If you want a job, you have to prepare for that. And going in the same line as Evelyn, I remember I read this book called What to Expect when you're expecting. And there's no such things as the labor without pain. It's just that you know what to expect. And since you know it, then it's not that painful because now you know what's coming on. So
yeah, that's another thing is sometimes when you know what's happening, now that works opposite for me. I like not knowing because then I get really afraid and I get like the anxiety about it. So reading those books actually scared me. And I watched, and then with YouTube, I watched all the videos of the labor. So that was terrifying. But you're right. But there was a part of me that at the end of the day, the women, most of them were fine. So, okay. So some of the other things is, I love your examples. They're great. Is you talked it through with somebody, right? You prepared for these events by talking them through how preparing with your partner, whoever was going to be in the labor and delivery, preparing with your family, whatever, however that was. You asked for help if you needed it, right? I still remember, since we're talking about birth, I still remember the last bath I had at home. And it took Javier and my mom to get me out of the bathtub because I could not get out of the bathtub because I was so big with Valentino. And reading, the first thing you guys said, or first thing you said, Maite, is reading the book. And then if we're talking about jobs, also see if you meet the requirements, right? Well, can I do this? Can I do what it takes? And all of this builds our belief in what we can and cannot do, but it also, we start to educate ourselves in what we're about to do. So believing in yourself versus believing in the profession or job that you're going into. I just happened to watch, and if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it, the Rita Moreno, it's on Netflix, documentary. And it just felt like it was in perfect alignment of what we were going to talk about today. If you don't know about her, her most famous role, I think, is West Side Story. She was, what was her name? Now I can't remember her name in West Side Story. I just remember she was in it. Was it Anita? And it was a really powerful role. So she's Puerto Rican, from Puerto Rico, sorry, and she came to New York. She went to New York City in the 1930s during the Depression. By 16 years old, she was completely she was the sole provider of her family. So that's just a little background to who she is. She's now 87 years old. This documentary is really great. It's actually really enjoyable, even though she talks about some heavy stuff. But some of the things, it's called Just a Girl Who Decided to Go for It. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is us, right? This is us in this business. We're just girls trying to live our big girl dreams, or some of us are our little girl dreams, trying to be that person that we always dreamt of being when we were little. And some of her other quotes are she says this one quote right off the bat in the beginning: how interesting that you have that glow about you when things are going well. And I thought that was a powerful statement, how we are shining and smiling when everything's going well. But when it's not, we let it affect us. We let our belief leave us because we make something mean something that may not mean anything. And then she goes on to say, that's why you must never believe that Hollywood bullshit, which we can apply that Hollywood to anything, right? That Hollywood bullshit, it goes up and down. And right now it's up where she's at in her career. That is just like where we're at in Arbonne. You can believe the bullshit of the person. I mean, Carmen and Maite, since you guys have been in this longer and at the level that you're at, please put in the chat how many times someone has actually said to you or text you, leave me alone, don't bother me, don't call me, you're an idiot, you're annoying. I can think of two. Now, have people not returned my calls? Yeah. But how many times has somebody actually insulted me or really made me feel bad about something? No, I did that. I did that to myself. And that was my belief in myself. And so she goes on to talk a little bit more about, and might then no one, right? And that's like our biggest fear. No one's ever even done that to you. And then she goes up to say, I grew up in New York learning and believing I had no worth. If you feel you have no value, that's a very serious illness. I love that she called it an illness because it's true. Carmen, maybe 5, right? Oh yeah, because you're out there. You probably reached out to more people than me and Mike that combined. You know, it's an illness, and it is, and we don't treat it serious enough to have that negative thought about ourselves specifically. And I'm sorry, I'll be honest, I don't know if there are any non-Latinas on here or any person of color really, is that we have this belief and we are raised with this belief, not intentionally, and it can come from many, many different places, that we aren't worthy, whether it's because we're just a woman, whether it's because we're a Latina woman, whether it's because we're a person of color, whatever it is. And when you believe that, well, guess what? It becomes true because that's what you believe. And I love that she actually says that. She's like, I had this listening. As people were mean to me when she was MGM, that she took it that because she was Latina. She doesn't know if that's true. That's just what she interpreted that because that's what she was feeling and believing at the time. And so there's one of her friends on there said she made herself into something she's not to please other people. How many of you, and now this can get really deep, and those of you know me know I like to get deep. How many of you can or willing to admit and acknowledge that maybe what you've done or who you are up until this point actually has more to do with what people want you to be or who they want you to be rather than what you want to. And it has more to you trying to fit a role or a piece of a puzzle. I am 100% and have been 100% in that in different ways at many times, whether it be the type of mother I'm expected to be, the type of partner I'm expected to be, the type of daughter I'm expected to be, that's a big, big one, especially in our culture. But with my family, that was a huge one. And let me tell you, it's taken me years to learn how to redefine my daughter title. So I think we all kind of go through that, but how many of us are living there and not recognizing that something that affects our belief in ourselves? Because if I'm expected to do this, then I can't do this. And then my favorite last quote from the documentary is actually by Whoopi Goldberg. And she says, she became her own heroine. She is her own hero. She is her own heroine. We are not heroine like the kind you eject. We are our own hero. And think about it. The times that you have flourished in your life, we all have somebody we look up to or some people we've looked up to and we admire. But the times that we've truly grown have been when we have said, wow, like you started off, Evelyn, I didn't know I was capable of that. Oh, if I'm capable of that, I know I can be capable of this. And those are the things that we have to do in this business as well. Is okay. And we were talking about this a little bit on our call last week on my team call of, are you giving yourself enough credit for the things that are hard for you, for the accomplishments that you're making that maybe are totally different? I mean, come on. I think me, Carmen, Maite, and Esme are as different as we come, where there's some similarities, but personalities, we are all very different. And we all do things very different. So what's difficult for me is so easy for Carmen. And we can keep, or vice versa. And we can keep, just put the obvious one out there. I don't cook, and she freaking created a cookbook, you know. I do make the best green pozole though. I'll just throw that out there. That's one item I perfected. So, but how many times are we not recognizing our own heroism, our own greatness, and saying, you know what, that must have been easy for somebody else, but that was hard for me. And I'm so grateful that I accomplished that, or that I'm where I'm at. So Cynthia Moreno, speaking of Moreno, gave me this fabulous acronym that she heard from somebody else, but we didn't know where it actually came from. And I looked it up and we couldn't find exactly where it came from. So this comes from her. Thank you so much, Cynthia, in our conversation. And it's called BOAT, BOAT, belief, opinion, attitude, and truth. And here's the most interesting, it's going to go into first full circle. What you believe becomes your truth. I'm sorry, I went too fast. What you believe becomes your opinion. Your opinion becomes your attitude toward things. Okay? So think about it. If you believe negatively most often, and I can tell you, I was that person who on a daily basis was angry at something or somebody. And I just told Javier the other day, I am so surprised at how nice people are. And I realized it's because I was the one that was the negative energy. And whatever somebody would respond to me, it felt like it was them, but it was me, because that was my belief. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not 5 million other things, but those are the main ones always. I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, not funny enough, I'm not skinny enough. Those are always the main ones. So your belief then becomes your opinion of yourself, your opinion of others, whatever it is. Okay, your opinion becomes your attitude, how you then bring that energy out into the world. And guess what? It all becomes your truth. So if your truth, your belief starts from, I'm not worthy, well, that becomes real. So no wonder we can't get to where we want to get to, because it's real for us. And then it goes back around. So now your truth has become your belief. And it's this nasty, vicious circle, which is where the habits that Carmen has helped make that tracker as so important, of the habits that we create, because we have to change that belief, to change the opinion, to change the attitude, to change our truth. And coming to the other side of where my new truth is, I can tell you, oh my gosh, it's also a huge weight off your shoulders. And so one of the last things that I wanted to talk about also came from Cynthia, is ESP, educate, show, and practice. This is like how we are with our kids. I got to bring kids back into it. I think everybody has kids here. I don't know, but educate. So going back to the belief in the company, what can you do? Correction. What have you not done to build your belief in the company? See, my joining Arbonne was backwards. I didn't join Arbonne because of the products. I joined Arbonne because of the company. I used the products for 3 years. I read up on the company. I researched the company. I haven't had students. I asked which of my students wanted to do their business plan on the company, because I wanted to know everything about the company. Because if I was going to join another damn company, it had to be incredibly different than any company I've ever been part of. And I read on the company. I read on the CEO. I read a little bit on how business works, on the type of business. And I had already been reading books on success, but obviously I increased that. So I educated myself. And then guess what I did? As I got educated, I started sharing with you guys and showing with you how I've implemented that. So I read on Arbonne. Have you guys even read on Tyler Whitehead? Do you guys even know who that is? Be honest, put it in the chat. I have no idea if you have no idea who Tyler Whitehead is, please put it in the chat. There's no judgment. This is just for educational purposes and for you guys to get to the next point where you want to get to. Do you know that you're in a network marketing business, a network marketing company? There's many names from it, but there's a slight difference in each name of what it actually means. So there is, I'm sure you've heard direct sellers, all sorts of things, but you're in a network marketing company. Did you know that you are an entrepreneur? So I love when I forgot who posted it the other day, where she said, my company is not a small business. I am a business owner. Therefore, I have my own small business. And I love that distinction, because it really validates how important the ethics are behind it. And then practice. Are you implementing what you learn? Now, here's the catch to that, you guys. How many of you, here's another question, you can put in the chat or you can unmute. How many of you can implement something right away, right after you learn it? Yeah, I didn't think anybody could. Most of us do not. Most of us need to hear it over and over and over. And I'll just say the same damn thing. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results, right? So as we're doing these things over and over and over, as we're listening, if we're not implementing it, there's no point. So when you hear over and over, and trust me, you guys, anything I'm telling you, it's because these are things that I'm either learning still or have learned, is how many times are you missing the calls? How many times are the calls all in your calendar, or are you waiting for somebody to tell you when the call is and setting you a reminder? Do you only jump on a call when you're reminded of it? Or are you the first when they're ready to go? These are things that as time goes on, they're important. Not every call is going to be impactful, powerful. Oh my gosh, that was the best call ever. But I can guarantee you showing up is going to change your belief 100%. Because when I stopped showing up, and I had shown up almost every single call for over 8 years, 8 years that I have shown up to calls that, okay, I take that back because I've only been doing the business for 6 years. So let's go to 5 years. 5 years, I showed up to every call. And there were times where there were 2 of us or 3 of us. And when I stopped showing up to the calls within the last year on and off, things started to change. No accident. So are you putting into practice what you're learning as you're learning these things? Are you making sure that you're showing up? Are you showing up to everything the way that you show up to one thing? You know, I won't say it's family stuff, so I won't say who in my family, but someone made a comment the other day like, oh, this person takes long to get ready all the time because they were 2 hours late showing up to an event. And I said, really? I bet that person never shows up late to an appointment for her money. I bet they never show up late. And this person looked at me like, oh shit, like you just called it. Yeah, I bet they never show up late to work because they are making tons of money right now. So are you showing up in one way, in one place, the way you show up to others? So I will leave you guys with a question, but I want to give you guys just a few minutes to ask questions too, or to share anything you want to share. What is one thing you will now do from this training that you haven't done before? What is one thing that got triggered for you, or got the spark was turned on for you that from this training? Laura, you're so cute. What is one thing that stood out for you that just made you say, you know what, I'm going to do this thing differently? It doesn't have to do with this training. I just want to know, what is one thing that hit you that you said, I want to do this I want to try this from now on. I'm going to do this from now on. Who wants to share?
I'll go, since I am like totally, like definitely no poker face here. I have, for December, I stopped working last month, the week of Thanksgiving. And so it's showing up again to the calls, showing up when they're live and on time. Family was here and stuff like that. But, it was my 3rd Thanksgiving, and with the holidays and everything, but this is my business. And I so appreciate you VPs, just, pouring into us, and I don't take you for granted. And that's my thing, is showing up on time, and I will try to be 5 minutes early. Thank you.
I love it. And I feel like this is what this is all about. It's not always about having this aha moment about everything and, oh my gosh, I'm going to change my whole business tomorrow. It's about what is something that is going to shift for you and that you want to shift. Anybody else want to share? No? Okay, well, that's okay. But if anybody has any questions, I know that we're definitely, and I will speak for the other VPs, because if you guys don't know this, Maite is in qualification for region vice president again, because if you don't know this, she lost it. But she's halfway there and she's getting it back this month. So it's like, oh, gone 1 month, next, gone back the next. And Carmen earned the trip to, where the heck is it? To Cancun. I'm committed to earning it this month. So I can tell you on behalf of your leaders, and including Esme, is that we are on a mission to make Arbonne a lot more diverse and make it a safe, comfortable place for everybody, but at the same time, people who mean business, because it is such a gift. And I know that each of us, and then all of you guys, we've all gained something amazing, no matter how big or how small. And I just want that for everybody else. So I hope you guys continue to show up. Please let your teams know. And when I say let your teams know, anybody who's even shown interest, if you have consultants that aren't active anymore, but they've shown interest again, like say, hey, jump on this call. Okay.
I wanted
And
to, Moni,
go ahead.
sorry.
No
I wanted to just, now that they're finally, my kids were fighting, so I couldn't unmute myself because you could hear it all. But I wanted to just give you a tool before we leave, because I love that this presentation, is about belief, and but I have a tool that it's affirmations, right? And maybe you're doing affirmations, but they're not working for you. So is anybody doing affirmations and they just don't seem to work? I think, or
I'm doing affirmations, but they're working.
But yeah, I mean, most of the time it will shift you in the right place, but sometimes, we get stuck in, like, I do affirmations every day and it's not working, something's not working. Well, the belief is that it's not working, first of all. I changed that belief. So everything starts like a thought. And so if you're not doing affirmations, start doing affirmations. And if you are doing affirmations and it seems like it's not working, then just try to focus in just one thing in affirmations. Like, I love, like, and attach a feeling to it, right? Because, like, I am enough is a great affirmation, but it's not specific enough for your goals, maybe, right? Or I attract the right people. It's great, but it's not specific enough for you. So make them personalized as much as you can, as detailed as you can, and that will show up. Because the universe, the more specialized you are, like, I attract the right people into my business. I attract bilingual moms. I attract people who are ready for the 30 days. The more specific you are, the better. And it's going to work. And if you start believing that it's going to work, like our kids they believe that Santa's going to show up, right? They believe that with their whole heart. And guess what? Santa shows up. So I hope that helps, because you can't get rid of negative thoughts in your head. You cannot repeat that. You cannot get rid of negative thoughts in your head. You have to substitute them with a positive one. They're not just going to disappear. You have to change the belief by putting good thoughts in so that the other ones go quickly out. And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to think a thought that doesn't belong in your head, and it's going to exit really quickly. And that's where we want to be. So that's where I am right now. Let me tell you, it's awesome. And then please continue every day. Daily affirmations for whatever, Arbonne, your personal life, your kids, whatever. It works for everything. So just be very specific. And that's my tool to share today.
No, thank you, Carmen, because you actually reminded me of something that I did miss. If you are lacking, wherever you're lacking, please share it in our thread. If you feel that you're lacking the belief in yourself, then let us know, because that's how we can give you those specific tools. That goes back to the asking. Are you asking? You have to ask, like, this is where I'm failing, or not failing, I hate that word. This is where I'm lacking the belief in myself. And I've had told that to Esme over and over and over in the last several months. And to your point, Carmen, it was one thing that I needed. One thing. I needed to wake up and be happy that I was awake. I needed to wake up happy in the morning. I do not, and have never in my life since I was a child, woke up happy. And for the last several months, I have woken up happy, because I told myself every day, I wake up and that negative thought would creep in. I'm happy. I know what you're talking about. I'm happy. I swear I'm happy. And it happened, and it's happening. And I caught myself, oh my gosh, I've never gone this consistent, waking up excited to get up out of bed. I'm happy. I'm excited to get out of bed. I'm excited to start the day. And finally, it's happened. So if that's whatever it is for you, if wherever you need help, please let us know. And then the second thing is, if you have a lack of belief in the company or the business and you're unsure, then again, ask. I'm not going to go through the list of books. We've already listed books, and we have books that we're always reading, and there's lots of things that you can do. Ask. That's where you need to reach out and say, okay, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not clear with this. What do you recommend specifically for this? Because we can give you books up the yin yang, we can give you podcasts, we can give you all this, but it's until you recognize what cup you need to fill, that you're going to fill that cup. So thank you, Carmen, for adding that. That was very, very, very helpful. I love you, ladies. If nobody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Very good. Bye. Oh, should we take a picture? Hold on. Show your faces if you can. Okay. Say cheese. I love you, ladies. Good night. Mwah. Holy Spirit, activate, activate, activate. Bye.